Ellison, and Brooke is with her mom, Jean, and her dad, Ed. And Brooke was the subject of Christopher Reeve's last movie. It was called The Brooke Ellison Story. And Brooke, why don't you tell us a little bit about your story?
I'll be in the car.
Well, almost 15 years ago, actually 15 years ago, on this upcoming Sunday, I was 11 years old, and I was walking home from my first day of school, and I was hit by a car while walking home, and that was an accident that left me paralyzed from my neck down and dependent on a ventilator. But since then, I've tried to not let my disability stop me any more than it absolutely has to, and I've kind of committed myself towards my education and to doing the best I can to make a difference. So my life has progressed pretty well since then. Like I said, I put a lot of energy to my education, and I ultimately went on to Harvard, where I got my undergraduate degree and my master's degree after that. And right now I'm going for a PhD in political science.
And I got to know Brooke because of Christopher Reeve, who I worked with for 8 years. And Brooke was the subject of his very last movie. And when he was shooting it in New Orleans, Brooke and her parents came down, and we got a chance to meet. And I've worked a little bit with Brooke because she's done some speeches and such. But let's talk a little bit about our friend Christopher Reeve.
Oh, he was an amazing man, and I feel very fortunate to have gotten the opportunity to get to know him a bit. Him and his entire family, they're just really incredible people with very giving hearts and dedicated to a better existence. So I feel very thankful for that. And he had called me shortly after I graduated from Harvard in 2000 and expressed to me that he wanted to make a movie about my life. And I was extremely humbled and flattered by that, especially somebody with his notoriety and his experience in life. And that was really how we met and developed a friendship from there.
You know, it was interesting because when I was telling Brooke about my other life, which is PR and writing and photographing and TV work, and I mentioned the Hampton Classic, she said, oh, I want to go there. And so here you are. And why did you want to come here?
Well, I was born and raised on Long Island, and the Hamptons is really a particularly beautiful part of Long Island, and it's just incredible to be here. Yeah, actually, I do a lot of public speaking, and one of the questions I get a lot from kids, it's just kind of interesting, is what's my favorite animal? And I say horses all the time, and it's no lie that's actually the case. They're beautiful, they're majestic, and to be a part of it, even though I'm not physically riding or anything, it's very liberating for me, and it's kind of the epitome of freedom. To see people doing what they can on a horse and really just expressing themselves that way. I think it's incredible. It's beautiful.
Have you been to a horse show before?
I never have. This is my first experience, and it's so far it's been wonderful.
Oh boy, she's starting at the top. What was your first impression?
Well, the horses are just majestic.
The Hampton Classic.
Oh my goodness, it's incredible. It really is beautiful. A lot of people who I know are very dedicated to their pursuits in the horse field, the equine field. I think it's amazing. It's beautiful. I'm really glad to be a part of it.
Well, I want to bring your parents in now. Come on in, Jean and Ed. Come on over here. We want to chat with you as well. Jean, well, first of all, give me your first impressions of the showgrounds.
Well, it was just amazing to me to ride out here and see this beautiful land and the horses practicing, and they're just really beautiful. So I'm just really thrilled to be here. It's our first time at a horse show, and it's very exciting for us.
Oh, it's just great. It's so well organized. I was very impressed by that. I look to that because just trying to get Brooke around logistically can be a problem, but everything was so beautifully done, and it's very well handled. It's very accessible, and everybody's been so gracious and wonderful here. It's just a wonderful experience. Really appreciate being here, actually.
Let's talk about that a little bit, Brooke, about the fact that life isn't always accessible, and sometimes it can be a little bit difficult, and what people should think about.
Right, there's no question about that. And I think it just comes down to a matter of people kind of having experience with somebody with a physical disability. Before you get to know someone or before you have experience with the situation, you kind of just don't really know what to anticipate and don't really know what planning has to go into just the daily aspects of life. So I understand how things are not necessarily as accessible as they should be, but yeah, I think things are progressing.
What are your thoughts on that, Jean?
Well, every time we go out as a family, we have to kind of be prepared for pretty much anything, any kind of thing that may arise. And I think the more Brooke gets out and more people with disabilities get out and around, the other people will be used to seeing them and be more accepting of them. So I think it's very, very important to continue to do that, as difficult as it is.
Oh, no question. Well, accessibility issues are critical for just about everybody. You don't have to be in a wheelchair to understand how difficult life can be when you're barred access to places. And people with all kinds of disabilities, even young mothers with strollers, have trouble getting around without accessibility into stores and access. But what Jean was saying, I echo. The more that Brooke is out, the more people see her and see the difficulties that she has getting around, and it's a eye-opening experience. It makes people more aware and maybe a little bit more conscious of the needs that people have who are in compromised situations like Brooke and others.
Brooke, you've been in a wheelchair for 14, 15 years now, is it? And you have probably seen, along with your parents, an improvement, because back then probably less people were getting around in wheelchairs.
Right. And a lot of that is thanks to the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, and the strides that's made. But, it only goes so far, and you have to, a lot of times it just comes down to an issue of awareness and people's open-mindedness and understanding of other ways of life. Progress is being made, but it's slow. I've been in different situations, different environments where it's just impossible to get around, and it's frustrating, but I think enlightenment is being made, and I'm happy to see that.
What was it like going to college in Harvard?
It was just an incredible experience. It really, I think, defines who I am to a large degree. It was probably one of those 4 years, actually 6 years in total, that I was at Harvard really were among the most memorable I ever anticipate having. It was just so enriching for me, intellectually, socially, personally, everything. Everybody there was very welcoming of me and open-minded to my condition and my situation. Actually, my mother attended with me for the 6 years I was there, and they were very welcoming of her as well. So it was fabulous.
You wrote a book about that, right?
Yeah, actually, my entire family and I did together. It was a book about our experiences since the day of my accident in September of 1990, and then up until my graduation in 2000. And my mother and I alternate chapters in each of our voices and talk about our experiences.
It's called Miracles Happen?
That's exactly what it's called, and that was what our life has been like.
Exactly. Well, the show is about to begin, and we want this to enrich your life a little bit, so enjoy the show, and thanks for coming.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.